Flight attendants, what are some things we as passengers don't know when we fly? Also, what are the negative aspects of your job? Where are we flying over right now? We never know. Also, to open a bifold lavatory door, simply push in the middle where it says push. One of the negative aspects of the job is when people yank off the ashtray thinking it's a door handle and then ask, why do you even have those still? It's an FAA requirement. Ashtrays need to be on every plane in case someone decides to duck the rules and light up. Unless you're extremely lucky and your aircraft just rolled out of the hangar after major maintenance, there will absolutely be something broken in it. An aircraft can have a whole host of parts be broken and still be allowed to fly. The broken parts just get labeled, recorded, and put on the to-do list for the next time it goes to maintenance. Pretty much what happens at a lot of jobs. If you ask for something nicely, I'll usually give it to you. But if you demand it or if you're a jerk, good luck getting anything free. So true. I actually have a lot of flexibility when it comes to special requests outside the rules. If you're nice, I'm glad I've just made your day. If you're an entitled asshole who thinks raising their voice and intimidation will make me cave, I will recite our terms of service to the letter and refuse to give you even a single thing of your special request. It's not smart to be a jerk to the person who has the ability to give you, or not give you, what you're asking for. Just want to say you guys look really cool walking through the airport in groups. The worst part for me is not being able to have a schedule. I can't reliably eat, work out, or sleep work with any consistency. It's also pretty tough being away from home so often if you have anyone at home you want to see. Leaving my husband and dog alone all the time is tough for both me and him. My husband's a pilot applying to the airlines right now and I'm dreading him being gone 5 days out of the week. Not to mention a 2-month training period out of state. How do you guys make it work? Eater, lol at the people going out of their way to message me tell me my marriage is going to fail. This is more of a question. Really? I'm deaf and I usually tell that when I'm getting my ticket, mostly for pre-boarding but also so that in an emergency, they know that I can't hear the overhead. But the reaction I get from FARs is so bizarre sometimes. One time I was given a Braille safety instruction guide, Delta. One time a FAR sat next to me and pointed at all the pictures on the safety instruction guide, American or United, I believe. But most airlines. I get off the plane and there is a wheelchair waiting for me. Why? If it's a red eye and we are close to landing, I might be hallucinating from lack of sleep. Not enough to be dangerous. Just enough to see weird things. Oh, and when you ask us to change the temperature, we pretend to do it. Planes are generally colder because if we hit turbulence, warm temps will make the chances of someone puking much higher. No idea why. If you curse in general, it's normally not a thing, but the second you curse at me, I can kick you off. We have flex restraints and are trained how to use them should you get disorderly. Not a flight attendant, but have a question. Is it true you guys do not get paid outside the time the plane is in flight? All the prep, check-in and clean up afterwards is off the clock? Edit. Holy guacamole, this is now my top comment lol. Thanks for all the replies. To add to this, most airlines I've worked with have a monthly minimum. Meaning I get paid for 75 hours a month regardless of if I'm actually flying that amount. That's only if you're a reserve, on call, though. Otherwise you get paid for what you fly. My airline has a guarantee of 94 reserves. But line holders only get paid for what they work. I've heard that flight attendants are mainly there in case shit hits the fan on a flight emergency landing, mechanical failure, etc. And that the hospitality part of the job is more or less filler for that primary role. How true is that? Obviously you guys know all the general safety stuff like how to exit the plane in an emergency. But how trained, if at all, are flight attendants in things like crisis management? Former baggage handler here. You guys pretty much all fly with at least one dead body 5 feet below you. You see a white box going up the belt loader that says HR. Sure doesn't stand for human resources. Human remains. My wife was a flight attendant. The worst part was always being on call, so she could never truly relax when she was home. Sometimes she would get a call at 4 AM to be at the airport in 2 hours. We live an hour away, so she would have to get ready ASAP. She would get sick all the time from being around traveling homebodies. Have to deal with people who thought they deserved special treatment and angry people that had a delayed missed flight when they have no control over those things. No. They can't help you find a connecting flight. Delay the plane because you're late and are not responsible for maintaining the lavatory. At the end of the day, they're not maids and shouldn't be treated as such. They're there to keep you safe and maintain order on the plane. All of that for $18 per flight hour. And most of her flights were only 1/2 hours. So for not flying, she was only getting paid $1.65 an hour until the plane's door closed. And if she was at home, they wouldn't pay her as it wasn't considered travel. I was a flight attendant for 10 years. Only left after the birth of my second child. I can go on and on about so much from my flying days. But I am glad now that I left and don't miss it anymore. I was always away and was always so jet lagged or tired when at home. As you're boarding the aircraft, we are judging you. We need to be able to establish what kind of flight we are gonna have. If you're nice, we will try anything we can do to help you. But if you're a jerk, we will just ignore you and talk behind your back in the galley. If we are asking you to follow rules, it's nothing personal, that's literally our job, and please don't ask where are we flying at the moment. I don't know or don't care either. Nowadays we have lots of gluten-free, vegan and vegetarian passengers on board. You need to make sure that you specify your meal when making the booking to avoid disappointment. Once I had a family of 6 people from LA who were all gluten-free and were very surprised that we do not carry GF meal. I was able to get some fruits and salads without dressing from business class to keep them happy, as they were very nice about it. In January, my wife and I had to sprint the entire length on the Miami airport, loaded down with luggage. We were going to miss a very important flight, but they said they would reluctantly wait for us. Every person working was so rude mean about it. One lady looked us in the face and said we should have left you. Understand that this wasn't our fault. An airport employee pointed us in the wrong direction. I say this because after we sat down, one flight attendant came to us and handed us cups of water. She did it out of compassion. She didn't have to, and I wouldn't be surprised if she took flack from it. But it meant more to us than the fact that they held the plane for us. She was so nice and we made sure to let her know how much it meant. So to flight attendants that are like her, thanks for being awesome human beings. Pilot here. Don't drink the coffee. The water comes from the on-boat system that has the fill port right next to the port the lavatories are drained from. The water system routinely fails E. coli checks. Also, when you wash your hands using the same water, make sure you always use the soap. Lastly, don't put your food directly on the tray tables. When people ask for the reason for a delay, we usually give a bullshit response because the real answer would spook passengers. We have a minor technical problem and engineers are on their way, and in reality, the cabin pressure isn't working. Also, here is another thing. It means a lot to us if a passenger actually says hello back to us and smiles. We'll remember your face. Believe me. Because we got 150 plus people who usually ignore us. One guy said hey good morning to me. And all flight I gave him alcohol on priority right away. While I made others wait 5-10 minutes because I was busy. Also, say thank you. It really makes my day. I took count of how many thanks I got. 200 passengers at 18 said thanks. Sometimes I load my pockets with cookies, nuts, crackers, mini whiskey bottles, and whenever I pass by, I offer them. I always liked the little known fact that the reason for turning the cabin lights off at night, just before landing, is to allow enough time for the eyes to adjust to night vision. So in case of a crash, you're already adjusted for the darkness to make it easier to see in the dark and find your way out of the aircraft and away from it in the darkness outside. You'll be thinking about this on your next night flight, guaranteed. A few years back, I was flying home from college on vacation freshman year. I had fallen asleep before the flight attendant came around handing out packs of peanuts, and woke to find a few packs in my hand. No one was sitting around me. To the flight attendant who put peanuts in my hand while I was asleep, I salute you. 07. Don't stand up while we taxi. Imagine you are in a 50-ton car with jets strapped to the doors. Wear a damn seatbelt until the seatbelt signs are off. Fun fact, a plane can still crash on the ground. Please wear a seatbelt. I used to be a recruiter for a pretty popular airline. I would interview people specifically for flight attendant. The main thing about it is the sheer amount of people that would apply for the job, 300,000 plus applications, but the actual amount of people who really wanted the job after I told them everything involved was staggering. 98% of the time I wouldn't even have to deny them the job. After telling them everything involved with it, they would usually just back out of the hiring process. It's a pretty crazy job, and I have a huge appreciation for the people that stay in the job for 10 plus years and can do it well. The chimes and dings you hear on the speaker all have a very specific meaning. A single high chime is a passenger call button going off. High then low chime is a call on the interphone from another crew member. And a double low chime indicates the plane is above below 10,000 feet. Indicators for final descent for landings. Pack a strap in and clean up. Some negative aspects depending on the type of person you are. The loneliness. It has never particularly bothered me. I've always enjoyed the solace and I don't mind going around the city on my own. But right now, for the first time in years, it's getting to me. I'm going through a breakup as of today while I'm in the middle of a trip, and it's so hard to try to keep yourself composed on hours-long flights whilst locking yourself in and out of the bathroom to wipe your tears up and make yourself look presentable and keep a smile. It's worse when you get to the hotel room at the end of the day and you're alone, thousands of miles away from any friends or family, and you cry into your pillow aching to hug the person who's leaving you. I want to be home. That tape you see on a plane? It's not duct tape. It's speed tape. It's not used for critical repairs. It's usually a cosmetic or minor aerodynamic fix. Example. The windshield of a plane is sandwiched between the airframe and the outer plates. But the step between the outer plates to the windshield has a seal placed for cosmetic and aerodynamic purposes. Eventually it needs replaced. So they put speed tape over it until it's time for the plane to go to scheduled maintenance. Hooking a plane up to a pushback and moving it to the maintenance hangar is a long process. They're not going to do that for every minor repair. TLDR, tape on a plane is nothing to worry about. Safety, security, and lastly service. Those are the three things we are here for, and they are prioritized in that very order. I love my job as a FAR. I've been doing it for over 7 years, and there's so much flexibility with the job that you can't compare to any other career. I could work as little or as much as I'd like to, and for the most part I could choose the routes that I fly. Passengers could sometimes be difficult, but the best part about this job is I'll probably never see that passenger ever again after that one flight. And once I walk off the airplane and head home, I've left my work behind me and don't have to think about it again until my next trip. That being said, the negative aspect of my job has to be the long hours and sometimes very early show times. A lot of my friends think the job is glamorous and a vacation all the time, but you don't really wake up at 3 AM every day when you go on vacation. Oh yeah, and the absolute worst thing is pouring Diet Coke on the airplane because it fizzes much longer than any other carbonated drink for some weird reason. I hated being alone so much. I did realize how much time I'd spend alone in hotels or in airports. We don't wash, replace the blankets or pillows. I just want to say a huge thank you to flight attendants. I am a terrible nervous flyer, like full-blown hyperventilation levels of anxiety. Somehow before it happens, flight attendants always seem to pick up on the vibe that I am nervous and offer me my own empty row at the back of the plane. It always seems to be empty no matter how many flights I go on. Thanks for being bros, female bros. In 2006 my father died unexpectedly. I was going through the roller coaster of emotions as I was getting ready to fly home. I boarded first because I'm disabled and a far seen I was visible upset. She asked if everything was okay. I told her my father passed and my emotions were all over the place. She told me she was sorry. Every time she went up and down the aisle, she touched my shoulder. Her kind gestures comforted me in those moments and I have never forgotten it. Not a flight attendant but wanted to share a lovely story. Was flying back from holidays and it had been my birthday. After reading a RLPT I gave the flight attendants my magazines as it was a 4-stroke 5-hour flight. A flight attendant had overheard me talking about my birthday and came back with a bottle of champagne and glass flutes from first class. I thanked them and was chuffed with the surprise. The comment was, "If you look after us we will look after you." It made my day knowing I had helped cure their boredom and it was such a lovely gesture from them. I'm terrified of flying but they made it so much easier. Long haul flight attendant here. Been at the job for 14 years. Thank you to all the wonderful people who give us treats. We love packaged snacks such as chocolates and local treats. I will always try my best to take care of the elderly and mothers traveling with kids. And please don't get upset at us for things that are out of our control. The plane you're flying on is public transport and is filled with people. Respect each other and be courtesy. If you're nice, we'll be nice back and sometimes we'll give you free stuff. If you want to know anything about the destination, you can ask us because we've been there and done it many times. Yes, we do look at you, talk about you, and judge you. And even fart in your face if you're that rude passenger.